That awkward silence you just felt, this is the same feeling most of us, that stops most of us from starting something new. The doubt, the discomfort, the fear of what other might think. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Divyansh, and since I was a teenager, I worked on many ideas. Some failed, some survived, and some turned into companies people now recognize. And through all of it, I realized something very important. The hardest part isn't building, but it's starting. Let's do something together. Raise your hands if you ever had an idea but never really got a chance to work upon it, but it really made you excited. Raise your hand, keep it up. Look around. What do you see? You're not alone, right? Many of us wait for that perfect moment. But the advice, wait till you are ready, is I think one of the worst advice one can ever get. Because I truly think one can never get fully ready, never feel fully ready. So, what I learned while doing all of this, that clarity doesn't come before action. It is the result of action. Now, let me take you back to when I was 16, growing up in Kota, Rajasthan, which most of you might know as the education hub of India. So, every year I saw the same story repeat itself. Parents would come there to look for an accommodation for their children. They would come months before the coaching started. But the whole market was unorganized, dominated by local agents, and the whole process was a nightmare. The parents would roam around the streets of the city just to find a to-let board and talk to the landlords individually, just to find a safe and reliable room for their children. This is where that idea began to form. But initially, it was just a thought. But when I discussed that with two of my closest friends, we decided to give it a go, and that's how Roomcard.in came into the picture. It was a student accommodation platform where anyone from across any part of India could look for a suitable, affordable, and reliable accommodation for themselves while sitting back at their homes. Starting Roomcard wasn't easy. We didn't know anything about running a business. We had no mentors. We had no funding. We didn't even have separate laptops to work on. But we kept going. I still remember our first sales pitch. We were standing outside a landlord's PG, very nervous, extremely scared, rehearsing our lines. And when we ended up with completing our presentation, the landlord looked at us and said, and I quote, "Beta, tum apni padhai pe focus karo, in sab mein kuch nahi rakha hai." And for a moment, I actually believed him. But I don't know why, we still kept going. We cold dialed all the landlords across the city. We were typing out room description all night, fueled mostly by eating Maggie and drinking coffee. But through all of it, what I realized was that what the most important thing was for us at that moment was to just keep on going, because it actually worked in the end. We ended up raising 10 lakhs in funding, got featured in national media, and even won the state level entrepreneurship award. But however, Roomcard didn't have a long run. All three of us went separate paths after school, but it was real, and that made all the difference for us. After that, when I moved to London for my graduation and joined UCL, I thought academics will be the most hardest part for me, but it wasn't. The most challenging part was outside the classroom. Coming from a small town, I found myself in a place where everything felt bigger. The conversation, the people, even the pace. Everyone around me seemed so confident in speaking up, in networking, in just fitting in overall. Whereas on the other hand, I felt like an outsider, trying to slowly figure things out. But that is what actually is the meaning of why all we are here today, the courage to begin. I ended up discovering that public speaking is something which I am very scared of. I continuously worked upon myself. I started, because even talking, introducing myself or giving out presentation made me think that I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. But eventually what I realized was growth doesn't happen inside routines. It is those uncomfortable moments that make us strong enough, that help us to grow as an individual. After UCL, when I moved back to India, and I think it was around 2020 when I was graduated from college. While all of my friends were preparing for corporate jobs, I deep down always knew I wanted to build something of my own. But this time the question was what? There were two things that shaped my childhood. One was Ayurveda, because at my home remedies were not found in the tablets first, but in the kitchen and the garden. Second was entrepreneurship. Ever since Roomcard, I couldn't shake off that itch of starting something of my own and solve real problems. When I moved back to India, what I figured out was, in India, people wanted healthcare, good wellness, better lifestyle, but all the products that were available in the markets were either too expensive, too shallow, or were not available beyond the tier 1 and tier 2 cities of India. At the same time, what I found out was direct selling was an opportunity that could empower people from small towns to step into entrepreneurship without needing huge capital. Even though starting Dayjoy also meant that I'm stepping into an unknown territory. I was and still am the youngest founder in the Indian direct selling industry, and walking into rooms where everyone is older than you, more experienced and more connected was never easy. But even though I still am trying to figure things out while I move ahead, I am very happy and very proud that Dayjoy has now, even though we struggle a lot in the past 6 years, I'm very happy to proudly announce that Dayjoy is now serving across thousands of people, not just in India, but also in Nepal. And we are one of the fastest growing direct selling companies in India. And this is just a beginning, in my opinion. There were mornings when I was so scared to wake up because there were 17 problems waiting for me to solve. But on the other hand, there were mornings when I was so excited to work because I had everything sorted out. So what I realized was that the problems will never go away. It's just that when we try to do something which scares you and we do it often, and that those things start to become less scary. And that is what I call the confidence competence loop. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And the better you get at it, the more confident you feel. Right? So always, whenever you feel scared about doing something, and it is okay to feel scared, still whenever I introduce a new product, or whenever I'm leading a team, or even when I'm standing on the stage in front of you today, I still feel terrified. But that's okay. That's part of the journey. That's part of how we grow. So what I want to tell you is this: stop comparing yourself, because that is what I found out, especially in the younger generation, and social media has made it worse. We don't just compare what other people achieve, we also compare their timelines. But I want you to ask yourself, what are we comparing against? Are we already late? Because whenever we see a friend traveling to Europe at 25 or seeing someone at 22 starting their own company, we start feeling that, am I already late? But I truly think there is no universal timeline. There is just one, and that's yours. So, what I want to leave you here today with: stop comparing and start building. Use social media as a tool, not as a trap. Follow people who teach and who just not flex. Start sharing whatever you are learning, not just your wins, because people connect more with honesty than perfection. There's another thing which we all are, I want you to understand. We have been till now talking about the importance of starting, but what I also think is there's an equally challenging, difficult thing: finishing what we started. Imagine this: you're standing on the edge of a river, you want to cross it, so what do? You start building a bridge. You work for days laying the foundation, but halfway through, what do you found? You found an easier spot to build again. You leave your existing work, you start building again. After a few days, you will find yourself surrounded by half-built bridges, but no way to cross the river, still stuck on the same side. That's how many of us live our lives. Podcast with 3 episodes, a company with a logo but no customers, a video you wanted to post but never got a chance, and that is what I call the half-built bridge problem. And that is why it is very important to constantly and consistently work on what you have started. Because in a world where there are lot many distractions available for us, not just social media, our friends, our family, and everything around us, the importance of focus and consistency takes the leap over just starting what you want to do. So, you won't be remembered by the bridges you wanted to build. You will only be remembered the ones you finished. So, this is the moment that you have to take a leap, build that confidence inside you, because you're never going to get a chance again. You're never going to feel ready again. This is the moment, just start. Because after starting, what I found out, the doors starts to open. You start figuring things out. And I am telling you this, consider me your friend, your brother, your elder brother, bigger brother, whatever, but the fear will never disappear. So don't aim to be fearless. Aim to be willing to stumble, willing to look foolish, willing to try again and again. Because the difference between those who dream and those who build is the one of them started. And one day, maybe when you look back, you will say, thank God I began. So thank you, and thank you for having me here. Namaskar.